Okay, it says I'm live. We'll try to. May have jumped on a little bit early. Yep, I'm about a minute early right now. Let's see, some people will get in here. Probably waiting on me. Probably waiting on the clock too. We'll see. Me. we'll we'll get it started here at 9 o'clock. See how things are rolling this morning. See if is it 9 o'clock yet? Yep. There we go. Hey James, how are you? Hey Jamie. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Hope everybody out there is doing good. Yeah, I'm hanging in here, and enjoying everything. Been a very eventful week this week, hadn't it? Uh, Unfortunately, we had a lot of tragedy. Lost two airplane tragedies, and we're having a lot of controversy coming up about that. I mean, of course, I think most people have seen. Hey, Patrick, how are you? Most people have seen how the DEI hires has affected the nation. We're slowly getting word of that, and you know, it's it's been rampant through our military, and it's showing up, and it's been rampant with the FAA, and that is showing up, and unfortunately, both entities showed up at the exact same time. Uh, Not to say that girl pilot for the helicopter was inadequate, but something went wrong. Uh, I mean, you know, we have diminished our ability on certain things of getting the very best people in certain locations, and it's quite evident that it's showing up right now. And you know, people don't want to admit it, but it's true. I mean, the truth is hurting people right now, uh, and the fact that we have 1,000 people that are in a class action suit right now with uh, the Obama administration, and how they held out. They would not let 1,000 people that were more than qualified even be considered for the FAA positions because they were too white. Now, I never thought that I would see a time when our government would say this nation is too white. I mean, we are white, we are predominantly white, but we're being hurt because of that. Uh, I mean, I've got a grandson that's coming up, and he's working his butt off to be a good engineer. Now, it bothers me for the fact, and we found this out through scholarships and everything. Uh, he did not he was not eligible for certain scholarships, although he was a perfect 4.0 student. I mean, he went through 12 grades and through a very high end high school and had a perfect 4.0 for 12 grades. Never made a B in his life. And he was denied scholarships because of his race. And that was bad. Now he got some scholarships, but he could have been eligible for a lot more had he been anything but white. And it's not to say that other people aren't deserving of scholarship, but it's turned around where it's reversed right now, and we're seeing a lot of that. But trying to right the wrong, they're making a new wrong, in my opinion. And that's hey Aaron, haven't seen you here in a while. Hey Info Warrior, yeah. Yeah. Hey, Joey, how are you? But we can't totally disrupt everything that goes on. I mean, they try to call every white person racist out there, and that is so wrong. I mean, we are not a racist nation. The fact is, we've got so many of the left. I mean, you got the crazy people like Joy Reid on MSNBC that is spewing the most racism I've ever seen of anybody. She is down on any person that is white. If you're white, you're a racist in her opinion. She is the most negative person. Her and Rachel Maddow and all those ladies on the View. I mean, they are so racially motivated. It's pathetic. I mean, anything that has anything to do with a white male, they we were held in disdain to them, and it's pathetic. But now we're finding out, just like what we're saying, because of this reverse discrimination, it is coming back to bite us in the butt right now. And when it starts getting into safety, I think that's a horrific problem. I mean, when you're messing up safety just because the right color person or the right ethnic of any description or disabilities or anything else. I mean, if you saw what the FAA, my wife and I, we pulled up what they were asking for. They're asking for the most qualified, unqualified person, you might say. They're asking for people with mental disabilities, or people with physical disabilities, and anybody that wasn't a white male that was healthy and smart. That's what they wanted, and that's denying a very vital part of our nation's safety by denying those type people a very qualified white male that's highly educated. You're saying, no, we don't want you. You're not our type anymore. That is absurd. Yeah, I know. And the illegals, crossing in. I mean, we have we have had a nation that has got our values totally upside down. I mean, it's flip flop. But now, you know, Trump is trying to right the ship. It is a very hard thing for him to do, for sure. It's a very patient thing we're going to have to put up with, and he's gonna be hitting ridicule after ridicule. Oh yeah, at least we have a president that gets out there and he addresses every single issue that has come up. I mean, that in itself is a very breath of fresh air there that President Trump, he gets before the public. How many news conferences has he had so far? How many? Uh, I mean, they have been so transparent. I mean, with when it was Biden, Trump has done more as far as news conferences and gone before the people and his press agent and everything. He has done more of that in 2 weeks than Joe Biden did in 4 years, and he has put more effort to fixing things in 2 weeks than Joe Biden did in 4 years. Joe Biden could have done the exact same thing about the border problem. Stop it, uh, shut down the border, put the military down there, do what you're supposed to do. But no, he didn't choose to do that. Yeah, I don't have any problem with people with disabilities having a job. Just don't put them in a job where it's going to impair safety. I mean, I'm all for people of all races, of all color, races, disabilities, everything else, of having a job. but you don't have to deny other people that are very qualified to put them in the highest end of these jobs. I mean, you can tear this down. I mean, a person with a disability can have a job with the FAA, just don't put them in a critical situation. I mean, there ought to be more administrative positions and other things like that, that they could do their job, but it doesn't create a safety problem. When it creates a safety problem, you've got a major, major problem on your hands. You want the sharpest, you want the you want the utmost best person that can multitask and give all these readings that you want at one time. Somebody that's not going to be flustered in any way, shape, or form, whether it be by physical or mental or social or whatever problem you may have. You don't want that person that has any problems. You want like the test pilot perfection, and that's that's what you want. But we have denied very, very qualified people from having those positions. Now we're understaffed, and we're understaffed with probably a lesser group of people of qualifications. And I mean, we don't know. We don't know as individuals out there, but we do know when we're being denied safety, and that is, you know, because I don't fly, so it doesn't affect me personally. But I have relatives that fly, and that worries me when you see things like that. Yeah, I know. I mean, if a person's disability interferes with the job that needs to be at hand, that there's a problem. And whether it's mental and or physical or whatever. But you want the sharpest person. When you got somebody flying something of that size, you want the very sharpest person. I'm never going to get on a plane and say, I need to make sure that your DEI hire is running this plane, because I don't want to fly in a plane if you don't have equity. Well, that's bull. I mean, I think every person that gets on a plane goes, I sure hope I've got the very best pilot that I possibly can get. I mean, I want somebody that is so competent that, I'm going to get from point A to point B with zero problems. Oh, excuse me. I had to yawn a little bit. So, we've got a lot to look at from this day forward on making sure that these equity hires are not going to impede any safety. Now, that's not, that's not saying that we can't hire very competent black people or Spanish people or Asian or anything. There are those that are very competent also. I'm just saying, why are you denying the white person? A thousand white people were turned away because of their race only. Now, if that is not reverse discrimination, I don't know what is. I mean, you can't deny the fact. And they said there were several of those people that had a perfect score on the test, and they were still denied. I mean, they actually shut down a school that was teaching how to be an air traffic controller. Obama had it shut down because there were too many white people in it. Now, how crazy is that? How crazy is that? I mean, granted, you need to probably recruit more black people to take that class and to make it to get equity that way, but you don't need to try to reinvent the wheel. I was reading James's. I think, yeah, yeah. I mean, we need placement for all disabilities and everything, but we don't have to have them in the most critical situations that requires the utmost sharpness. I mean, I'm not a rocket scientist, so to speak, and I don't try to be, but I do know if I am building something, I want to have the person that works for me that knows how to build something really good. I have never ever hired because of skin color. And I have hired I when I was a contractor, I had Spanish. I had a guy from Africa. Uh, I think it was Ethiopia that actually drove for me. I've had regular black drivers. I've had regular, white drivers, white women, black women. I have had people from El Salvador. I've had all kinds of different races drive for me, and as a mechanics, I had black and white mechanics. I was never racist and never have been, but I did get them by ability. I wanted the most able-bodied person. I mean, I didn't go out there and seek the worst driver I could get just to fill some quota. When they came to me and I tested them out, if they were a good driver, I went by that and that only, and their record. I never went by, uh, well, I can't hire you because you're Spanish, or I can't hire you because you're black. I never did any of that, and I was very, very fair. I went by ability and reliability. I mean, if they were a white person that was lazy, I fired them. If they were a black person that was lazy, I fired them. If they were not dependable, I hired them and I fired them on an equitable basis. I mean, I did not cut any slack on anybody. I did, it was by ability only for me. And that's the way it should be. And I was never, and fortunately for me, I never had quotas. I never felt like I ever had denied any. I never denied anybody because any race. I mean, and at one point, I had as probably 50-50 as many black drivers and or drivers of color that I did as any white drivers. I mean, it was. I mean, if you were look at the population of the United States, and you see the how many people are in the United States, I was probably as as close to the well, probably even more browner than I was white as far as population you might go, because at one point I know I had out of probably 40 or 50 drivers, I know I had at least 20 20 ethnic groups in there. I mean, 20 people of other than white, 20 to 30 people like that were not of white drivers. So I know how it feels to run a company that uh, you balance out the people. But and like I say, in all those hires, I never did it because of any race. I did it because of ability. Exactly, Jamie. Jamie knows what I'm talking about. You just finding qualified people is the hardest thing to do out there right now. So you're grasping for everybody when you run a business that is qualified. Now, I mean, if you don't know how to drive a truck, and I was hiring truck drivers primarily, you're not going to drive for me. I mean, you're going to have to go to school. You're going to have to get the experience. You're going to have to come to me with some ability. Uh, you know, now, do you have to be the best driver? No, you have to be a minimum. You have to have the minimum qualifications. And I want you to be the safest driver that you can. I want your record to be good. I don't want you to have a sloppy record, or I don't want to hire you. But getting people in the driving market nowadays, it's a very tough situation. Got to wet the old whistle here. I get tired, and my whole throat wears out. So that's age for you. So of course, I'm glad I'm not behind the wheel anymore. I don't like driving a truck anymore. I'm glad I'm retired from that. Uh, it's not been it when I see trucks out there now, and I see the congestion of the roads, and I see what goes on in traffic. I'm glad I'm not a part of it anymore. It's very dangerous out there. I mean, we're talking a lot about the dangers of the air, and the dangers of the road are really horrific out there. Well, what are you trying to start, James? Um, I mean, it's just I don't want to have any business right now. I've got enough business. I'm doing my real estate. I'm buying some warehouses and a few things like that. I've got I purchased a warehouse, the last one, about 3 months ago, and I'm trying to clean it up. And of course, I've got a renter in it, but we're trying to make improvements on the building. And I can do that right here near my house. The building is actually near our house. It's not far away. There's another possible warehouse that's coming up for sale, but I don't think I'm gonna buy it or try to buy it. Yeah, well, being HVAC, HVAC is definitely any of your services out there, whether it be HVAC, welding, carpentry, any of those kind of skills are very plumbing. I mean, I would encourage young people going into plumbing right now because plumbing skills uh, are getting to be hard to find. Having these kind of skilled people like that, and these are some of the things I think schools need to teach again. They have quit that. They think everybody is going to be a liberal arts major or something, and I do not understand how people with good brains in schools can look at the statistics and say, where are the needs of the people in the United States? And it is more in the labor force, skilled labor and unskilled labor, uh, that we need to teach these young people. Give me a Kleenex here. It's old runny nose here. Well, I'm glad the groundhog didn't see a shadow here in the Carolinas. I hope we will be out of winter before long. We actually have got a Tuesday. It's supposed to be in the 70s down here in the Carolinas, so I'm looking forward to that, to have good weather again. Yeah, we need to get back to the trades. We really do, and we need to uh, like I was saying, there are a lot of qualified people out there. Get these young people into trade schools. Get them taught the trades that uh, we need we need to have. We don't need to have all these uh, college professors try to indoctrinate. And you don't get indoctrinated at a trade school. I've never seen them indoctrinated at trade schools. I love trade schools. I've gone to the local community colleges and taken courses myself in welding. I've taken some courses in some fabrication type things where we did some iron, some aluminum smelting, some forge and foundry type thing. I've done things like that, and I've done some machine shop, and I'm wanting to go back and do some more because I've got some machines I want to learn how to run better myself. I've got a new lathe and a few other things in my shop that I want to get better at. Oh yeah, plumbers make a ton of money. Plumbers make. I actually rent one of my buildings to a plumbing service, and he he's doing real well. He's got probably, oh gosh, I want to say probably 25 plumbers that work for him, and they stay busy all the time. I mean, doing plumbing work all over the area. I mean, you'd be surprised how much demand there is in plumbing, and and I'm not talking about new services. I mean, I'm talking about people that just have problems with their older homes and everything like that. That just regular uh, plumbing and commercial plumbing too, commercial and everything else. So it is what it is on that. But electrical work, plumbing, carpentry, any of those skills, machinist, uh, all those skills are very in high demand. And a person doesn't have to have a 4-year degree. You can go, like I say, you could go to trade school. You can actually just go to work for some of these people and be an apprentice and build yourself up and get licensed as a plumber or electrician. My son is an electrical engineer, but he's also a licensed electrician. He just renewed his license uh, just recently. And when he went to class, and he was one of the youngest people in the class to renew the license. And he's 51, and he was one of the youngest. That shows you how bad we're going to be in a few years with licensed electrician. I mean, these jobs are going away for a lot of people because people have gotten away from those trades. I mean, I love to listen to Mike Rowe talk about jobs and everything. The dirty jobs guy. He he spells it out as good as anybody, and how we need to have a lot of new trade schools and do away with some of these major college. I mean, we have put too much money and too few places to get such bad result. I mean, we got people that are educated way beyond their intelligence, if you know what I mean. I mean, you got a lot of people with a lot of degrees that can't get out of a shower or rain. I mean, you can listen to them all the time. Hey, Kevin, how are you? Yeah, I hope you jump in here and give us your opinion on some things, Kevin. Hope you're doing well. And um, but we've got to get the trade people back in, and we've got to solve this equity problem out there because we we need people with skills, qualified people, and we need stress to get the qualified people. And like I said, it's very apparent what happened this past week. We've let our culture on the essential people. But that being said, at the same time, you can see how good the fire response, the rescue people, and everybody like that were. I mean, those are hardworking civil servants that have risked their life and do everything they can to protect people. And that's what we got to do. We've got to have the utmost and even the best on that too, because we have seen how that is kiltered too when you look at California and some of their DEI hires. I mean, I don't care if you have a white or black lesbian woman that has moved up in the ranks, and if she can't do her job right, I don't care. I want her out of there. I want who it is. I want a competent person. I mean, not to say that, you know, women don't have a place, white women, black women, Hispanic women. I don't care. I want a person. I mean, and there there's places for everybody. You don't put somebody that needs to have somebody with strength, physical strength. You don't put them in behind a desk and then you put a 90-pound female out here to do something that requires physical strength. I mean, the imbalance of that is it can be crazy. Yep, there are a lot of educated morons out there. That's for sure, James. Like I said, I always my granddad always used to say, said, "Don't mind that person there. He's educated way beyond his intelligence." In other words, he's got a lot of degrees, but he can't. I mean, and I granted, I mean, I guarantee there's a lot of mechanical engineers that can't fix their car. I guarantee it. Now they might can help design something about a car on a computer and everything else, but actually getting out and physically uh, repairing the car that takes a technician that has been trained for that. Not necessarily somebody has a 4-year degree, but somebody that wants to get their hands dirty and wants to doesn't mind getting their hands dirty, not necessarily want to get their hands dirty, but they want to get out there and they want to fix this situation on your vehicle or whatever. I guarantee there's tons of people that have all kind of degrees, even like I said, engineering degrees, but they can't fix things. There's levels on all aspects of life, and we need the most qualified. I mean, I don't take my car to a dealership and say, just give me the cheapest mechanic you got. Let him try to struggle and fix this car. I want it fixed, and I want it fixed right, and that's what you do. And it's the same thing with what's happened with our aviation with the FAA. I mean, I do not want a air traffic controller that just got there last week because he checked off the box or she checked off the box. Uh, she met these qualifications that they want on paper. I don't want that person trying to direct traffic. I want the sharpest person out there. Same way with the pilot. I want the pilot to be the sharpest person out there that we could get at that time. I don't want pilots that check any box for any kind of equity type situation, and because that is what gets us in trouble. And it's very apparent that those kind of hires and the lack of hiring, like I said, that class action lawsuit of 1,000 people that have been denied, even though they ranked high, went to school, very qualified as to be air traffic controllers, were denied access to even get it because they were too white. Now that is reverse discrimination in its finest right there. I mean, you can't have that. I mean, I don't mind every uh, black, Asian, uh, female, whatever, being uh, having the opportunity to do it too, but don't push them ahead and deny other people the the same access. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah, well, I mean, and that's what you get too, Walter. I mean, you get people that feel like that they're like that. Yeah, I know it. I saw that, Kevin, what we're talking about, and yeah, that lady that was a lesbian and big burly black lesbian lady. She says, "Yeah, your husband shouldn't be in that fire." Well, that's the stupidest answer I've ever heard in my life. I mean, if you're in a fire, you're in a fire. You need somebody in there that can pull you out. You don't need to say, "Well, I'm here because I'm a lesbian," and or I'm a black lesbian, or I'm a Hispanic lesbian, or whatever. That is the most ridiculous answer I've ever heard in my life from somebody like that. Yeah, yeah, it's very sad. I mean, and believe it or not, the it affects North Carolina. Several of the people were from North Carolina. Uh, the flight crew was based in Charlotte, so yeah, that uh, situation in Washington D.C. was very tragic. I don't think anybody, nobody can have anything good to say. Uh, I mean, it's just a sad situation for the nation. I mean, we have got one of the safest air travels around, but we're seeing where that's eroding because of what has happened because of these past administration. Obama and Biden both have let that erode, especially Biden. Biden escalated this on up. I mean, look at that that crazy. What was that? He had something to do with transportation too. I think the crazy cross dressing, bald headed, dress stealing guy. They finally fired because he was stealing women's clothing and everything. I mean, that idiot. I mean, how somebody like that got by anybody's qualifications? I mean, if that person would have been red flag. I mean, I know I wouldn't have hired that person for any job. I mean, that person was mentally deranged right there. Yeah, Secretary of Energy. Okay, what? Yeah, I mean, that guy was a wacko, a wacko, and then the one that cross dressing other guy that he had up there that he declared as a woman, and he was another nut too. He was Health and Human Sources, or I don't know what he was. I'm glad he's gone. That's all I can say. I mean, we got to get back to some normal situations, and thank God Trump is getting people like that. And if we can get these people that are not don't have TDS, we'll be in better shape. Yeah, the Surgeon General. Yeah, that guy slash whatever he was. I mean, he was a man, but then he cross dressed and acted as a woman or whatever. Oh, we got to get back to some sanity. That's for sure, Aaron. We've got to. I mean, it is. I'm happy. In the past 2 weeks, I've been happier about what we've been able to do, and to see these crazy these senators, I think, are making a mockery of their self, trying to make knock down some of Trump's people. I mean, they're just showing how stupid they are, what they're bringing up. Yeah, I mean, I am not denying anybody a position anywhere. I would not deny anybody a position, but you don't have to put, like I said, it all comes down to the skills. You want when you get into something that is so is involved with so many people's safety, such as an air traffic controller, you want the very best person there, period. I don't think there's a person in this audience right now that would say, "Oh no, if he's not a black lesbian or Spanish lesbian or a whatever." I mean, just put all these weird things together, or cross dressing. You know, I don't want that person there. I don't care. I don't care if we put the whitest white person there at the control tower. If he's smart or she's smart, I don't care if it's female or male. If the person is sharp and can do the job right, that's who I want there. I don't want I don't want chaos in an air traffic controller situation. I mean, and that is an intense job. That is, I mean, if you've ever seen them uh, show that, I mean, that is I wouldn't want it. I really wouldn't. Oh, I know it, and that's exactly what they got with Supreme Court too. I mean, this latest hire that Biden put through. I mean, yeah, she got up on stage, and I mean, I've never seen a Supreme Court justice want to get on the New York stage. I mean, that was sort of bizarre too. But they're there for publicity, I guess you might say. Yeah, I don't care. I'm the same way. I don't care what they look like, what color they are, who they sleep with, who they don't sleep with, if they have sex or don't have sex. I don't care. I want the most qualified person there. But I don't want you to deny other qualified people because they don't check the box that you want them to check. I don't want you to deny them a job when we're down on employees. We're understaffed on air traffic controllers now nationwide, and how they let that happen is so bizarre. It's pathetic. Yeah, and yeah, they have showed that too. I mean, they have highlighted some of these DEI hires, and all they do to me is they're highlighting some of their mistakes. Uh, and you know, granted, everybody has to think back about Rosie the Riveter in World War II. Yes, there were more women out there building airplanes to keep the war effort going in World War II than you can imagine. And we're so thankful that we had those people like that. But you don't put people in critical situations, whether it's warfare. And I'm glad we got Pete Hesketh, uh, got him in, because now we see the importance of putting sometimes only men in certain situations. I mean, women can, if they are qualified, and we don't have to lower the standards to get them in. I mean, you need a standard that's high. And if women don't meet that standard, you don't lower the standard just to put a woman in that place. If that woman can go up to that place, then that's fine. But if she cannot, I mean, there's been millions of men that have been denied because they don't meet those qualifications, whether, in firefighters and in Army situations, Air Force, Marine situations. There's been a lot of men denied those uh, uh, positions. So it's not a factor of man, woman, that situation. Is a factor of, can you get the job done? You just don't want the standards to be lowered just to qualify the wrong people in there. And that's where we're screwing up. That's where we're screwing up. Yeah, combat. I don't like the fact, I don't want women in combat situations. For one thing, if the enemy captures them, then they can be compromised way worse than a man can. And they it's a very bad situation. Yeah, I think most men are feel protectors of women, and you want to protect them. You don't want them to be put in harm's way. Yep. Oh, I know. I saw that, Kevin. And, you know, and that's a perfect example, Kevin. It has nothing to do. I mean, the gentleman was a black man, and it had nothing to do with his race. It had all to do about his qualifications. He had never been a pilot. He had never worked at FAA. He had never done anything that was remotely uh, needed that. Biden put him in there, and if that is not a DEI hire, what would have been? It has nothing to do with his qualifications. I mean, had that been a white man in the same position, answering those questions the same way, I would have said that's an idiot. And it's got nothing to do with color at that point. But it highlights the fact that they put race ahead of qualifications. And that's what is making so many people so mad, is because was he the best black person out there? Surely not. I mean, surely there was other qualified black men that could have been in that position and been a very good pick, but they didn't. They put the least qualified person, it looked like, in charge there, and that was bizarre. That was bizarre to see that when I've gone back and because I saw it live when it happened several years ago, and I thought then I said, how in the world are you going to put somebody in charge of that, of the FAA, when when it's quite evident when he answers no to all the questions that how can you be qualified? And it's just it is very bizarre to do that. Like I said, and I you could have not shown his face and just had his voice answering those questions. And I would have said right up then and there, if I just heard his voice and his answers or saw it on paper, I wouldn't even have to listen to it and just say, here's the questions. Let me see your answers. And if I had seen that, I go, well, this idiot ain't qualified. I mean, you could read it. I mean, if you were reading the transcript, you could tell that was not a qualified person. Has nothing to do with race or age or anything. It has everything to do with qualification. And that's a perfect example of how DEI went wrong right there. No, he wasn't. He wasn't the best. I mean, like I said, it has nothing to do with the fact that he was a black man. It has everything to do that he was so underqualified. It was pathetic. Like I said, you could have read the transcript and not know if he was Asian, black, Spanish, white, anything. And you would have just reading the transcript of the questions asked and his answer to the questions, you could tell that that person was not qualified. But we have let that slip through the system, and we are finding the ill effects of that right now. I mean, that is the terrible thing. I mean, we've lost 70 something people uh, in just two crashes in just a couple of days. That's pathetic. Now the one in Philadelphia, I mean, that had to be, from what I'm gathering, probably pilot error because of the fact that low level clouds. I mean, they were showing, it crashed within 60 seconds. I mean, it took off and it never made it. And I saw a lot of pilots. They were talking about that if the instrumentation possibly maybe they had a failure with instruments, and if at that point you're flying through the clouds and you don't know, you have to make a split second determination of what's up, what's down, everything. And he said, and most people get disoriented, and it looks like that to me, or something catastrophic might have happened. It happened quick because that plane just took off and crashed immediately. Yeah. Yeah. You have a great day too, James. Well, I'm about ready to get off too because my voice is won't only take so much. So let's call it quits for everybody. I hope everybody has a great week this week. I hope things go better this week for everybody, for the nation and everybody. Y'all take care. Take care, everybody. Love you. See you around next Sunday. Take care. See you.